My name is Rebecca Swift and I'm an Associate Director with Entelechy. I've worked here for a long time on and off, for about, I think, 19 years. And at my interview there were 5 people with learning disabilities who'd moved out of Darren Park Hospital into the community at the time, and they chose me. So I feel somehow very privileged, really privileged, and somehow fulfilling a legacy for them. There are so many important moments in Entelechy, so many. It's constantly changing, it never stays the same, and there's a roving community of participant artists as well as professional artists coming together. One of the most powerful projects for me was at Downham Library with children from Greenvale School who happen to have profound and complex disabilities. Some of their siblings and their families. These children were just so creative and really met us in the middle, and they found, and we found, they could do things that they hadn't done anywhere else. We did it in the middle of the library, so it was in a very public place, which worried us to begin with. And then we found that actually the whole library loved us being there. And so what was interesting about it is we moved between workshop and performance back and forth, just because we were being watched. And we brought in some of the best musicians and the most beautiful instruments and storytellers and poets and theatre practitioners and dance artists to work with these children and for children to work with them. And sometimes the whole library would stop and watch, and then children had to turn up at the library, wanted to join in because it was so interesting. So we ended up having impromptu people joining in. And yes, it was special because of this idea of what performance can be, something that isn't precious but still powerful, and that we can move between workshop and performance and not feel this need to prepare something, that it's in situ in the moment. And one of the most powerful moments on that project was a film project they did with Malcolm Buchanan-Dick and Wei Chung, 2 artists, and the teaching assistants from Greenvale School, who were extraordinary, who knew the children and became artists in their own right, even though they'd never done it before. And one young girl called Katie, who decided to choose a pair of red stiletto shoes to be filmed around the library. It was a form of film graffiti. So she chose a vending machine, she put the shoes in there. She chose a lift, and she chose a librarian's desk, so we created this film of the shoes. And then she chose a fairly initially rough-looking boy who was the leader of a gang there with a hood. She chose his hand. And every now and then at certain times of the day, the fights break out in that library. So, the teaching assistant was worried when she approached him because she can't speak. But she approached him because Katie is the kind of person who has a lot of courage and is quite a leader and breaks boundaries, I think. For us, broke a lot of boundaries. She went straight up to him, and he turned out to be a lovely young man, I suppose. And there's a photograph of him holding a red stiletto shoe in his hand, and Katie is in the photograph. So for me, that was really an interesting moment.